I think we're live.
We are.
All right. Okay, perfect. We're live. So funny. Welcome everyone to the first episode of The Spiritual View, where, of course, as you would expect, we've had technological difficulties. So even though we are not streaming live on YouTube right now, we have dropped into stream live instead on Facebook. So just making sure that you can hear us. If anybody is here watching us, please say hello or drop an emoji. There we go. Sorry. And just let us know that we are here and that it's all good and that you can hear us. All right. So episode 1. Welcome to The Spiritual View with myself, Tracy Montgomery, with Kim Wilkinson, as well as with Sheila Shorten. And this is a space where we are showing up, as you can see, unfiltered, unedited, flaws and all, completely unscripted and unplanned, to share with you all of the things, all of the viewpoints from a spiritual perspective as things are happening in our world right now, whether that's physically or energetically or whatever that looks like. And so before we get into how this show kind of came to fruition, I just want to start with giving both of my co-hosts an opportunity to introduce themselves. So Kim, do you want to go first?
Sure. Thank you, Tracy. Yeah. Hello, everyone. So excited to be here. I'm Kim Wilkinson. I'm in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Married, several children. We're a blended family. We have 5 children, a grandson and a granddaughter on the way. I do a lot of things. I teach yoga, meditation, I'm a trauma grief recovery coach, spiritual empowerment coach. I do tarot readings. I'm a Reiki master and channeling. So excited to be here with these 2 lovely soul sisters of mine and to engage with all of you. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. And Sheila, take it away.
Yeah, I'm Sheila Shorten. I live in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. I do a few things. I, like Kim, do tarot card readings. I do hands-on healing work. I also do, one of my favorite things to do is channeling. And so I receive messages from guides, and I like to offer those messages forward. So that's kind of my passion. I also teach yoga, and I love yoga. I've been doing it for over 30 some years. It's my definitely a big passion of mine. And I love spirituality. I find it interesting that we are all spiritual beings, and I think it's a time when we're waking up to that concept. So spirituality is my passion. It is who I am, and it's who everyone is. And I think it's a time that we get to talk about it.
Awesome. Thank you. And I'm Tracy Montgomery. If you don't know me, I live in St. Albert, Alberta. I'm an intuitive guide, healer, and coach. And I consider myself to be a bit of a catalyst. And one of the things that has kind of happened for me in my own spiritual journey, and as well as in my business, is kind of busting through a lot of the norms and the blocks that we often hear in the metaphysical community, and the stories that we've maybe attached ourselves to about what it means to be spiritual, or how things need to show up, or what that looks like. And so I like to share that in my teachings. I like to share that in my offerings, and I like to share that just in the world and in conversation. So I'm sure that we will get into some very interesting conversations here on The Spiritual View. You may know that and this is kind of how this came to be, is that there is, I believe it's still running, this talk show called The View that was originally started by Barbara Walters years ago, like I think in 1997, I think it said when I Googled it. And it was a panel of women from all walks of life, all ages, all ethnicities, all experiences. And they would come together and they would have these beautiful conversations, which sometimes I loved watching because they would get a little heated. There would be a few hot seats, and they would have guests on, and they would talk about, societal things, and they would talk about politics and all of these hot topic things. And back in the summer of 2022, I was considering actually doing a podcast. And I was like, well, a podcast would be great, but I don't want to just talk to myself. I'm a human design. I'm a generator by nature. And so I love to respond. And I was like, I need some people to talk to. But nobody really wanted to come live and do this thing with me. And fast forward to, I think just before Christmas, I was actually a guest speaker on Kim and Sheila's podcast, and we were having a conversation after, and I was like, I had this idea and I thought it'd be kind of cool. And they were like, oh my God, we should do it. And that was kind of how the spiritual view was born. And so here we are. And I would love to hear any feedback or any comments on, your experience, Kim and Sheila, as to how this kind of came into fruition. Sheila, do you want to go first?
Well, it was interesting when you had mentioned it and talked about it. It wasn't like I had to think about it. It was just an easy answer, yes. I'm not good at making things happen. And I'm so grateful for you two ladies because you make things happen. I can agree to it, but to make it happen is not my forte. As soon as we did it, as soon as we said yes, these two were like on top of it. How do we do it? Blah, continuous connection on that. And I'm so grateful for that. But I'm here as someone with wisdom, someone that can provide a place of guidance with the channels. Even as we speak right now, when I do channeling, I get a tear sometimes that comes down my cheek. And this tear has been flowing all morning. So I think there is a message that's going to be coming in. We are going to be channeling Barbara Walters. So I can feel like this is I don't doubt it. I don't know how to channel her. I don't know much about her, but I know that there's a message waiting for us to come in for sure because of the sign of the tear, and I can't stop it from flowing right now. So yeah, so it came about very easily for me.
Beautiful. I love that. I love that. Kim, what about you?
Well, it was so interesting for me as well. First of all, I really believe it was so divinely guided. I mean, just how we recorded the podcast, and again, just casual chat after. Had we not set that up, we probably wouldn't have had that conversation. And Sheila's right, like we just jumped into action that day. I mean, a group chat was created on Messenger, the ideas were flowing, we were creating a Facebook page and a YouTube channel and conversing back and forth about when do we do this and what day, what time. And I will never forget this. And I don't know Barbara Walters very well either. I'm familiar with The View, but I never really watched it. And we were messaging back and forth. And Tracy came in with a message with this big OMG, you guys, I just heard that Barbara Walters had just died the same day that we decided to do this podcast. And it was just like, I mean, the synchronicities, and we experienced this so much, all of us individually. And it was just, to me, such a powerful day and I think a very good sign. And I'm really excited to see where all of this is going to go.
Yeah, thanks, Kim. Me too. I'm super stoked. Like, even when you're just retelling a story about, like, my message came across my phone on Apple News of all things as I was messaging you guys on Facebook. And even just you retelling the story gives me like full body shivers still. I'm like, oh my God, like what are the chances? And of course, at the same time, right? Of course. And so I'm super curious to hear what her perspective is on what we're doing here. Right. And I don't know a lot about Barbara Walters at all. And I know that we were having a conversation right before we got on, and Sheila, I'll let you talk more about this, just about what information we're going to be asking Barbara for and what that's going to look like today.
So we were talking about this, and I don't want to violate any of her privacy or, offend her family in any way by channeling in her wisdom. But we're going to be asking her specifically for her opinion on what the spiritual view is and how she sees that as coming through, because we obviously know that she's in a place of great wisdom. She was here on the planet, and I'm sure she's, we understand that elevates when you pass. And so I really want to make it clear that I wouldn't violate any of her privacy in doing this channel. And that's really important for me. And I think it's important for Kim and Tracy as well to keep that integrity. And when we channel, I sometimes I can't predict what's going to come through, and I can't change it. But when I can ask for it to be about this subject, so we can keep it in that realm for sure.
Okay, awesome. Is there anything else that we should drop in or that we should say before we get started today, Kim?
I'm actually thinking that if it's okay, Sheila, perhaps once the channel starts, if we could ask Barbara a question or two.
That is super helpful for me, because as you know, I'm accessing another realm. I'm going to a different place. And the messages aren't just as straightforward as us having a conversation. I have to interpret, and I have to get the message and bring it forward and have the best interpretation of it. So if you ask very specific questions, then I know that the answer is coming for that question. So that makes it quite easy for me, for sure.
Awesome. Okay. Is there anything else you need before we start, Sheila?
Just to let the viewers know, if they're, I guess this is live, and when I do the channeling, sometimes I do things with my hands, with my head. Feel free to watch me. I used to be really uncomfortable with it because it's kind of odd, but I've been doing this so long now that I'm good with it. So just so that you know that that's what to expect when I am channeling. I just close my eyes, I let the images come forward, and yeah, we'll go from there.
Awesome.
I don't have any idea what's going to come up. Like I tell everyone, before I start channeling, I'm like, I got nothing. I don't even know why you're trusting in me to do this. But then as we do it, it just comes about. So.
Perfect.
All
Okay,
right.
well, I'm super excited.
All right, I'm going to get started. So I'm going to close my eyes, and I'm going to just ask for the channel to come in. I'm asking for Barbara Walters to come in to bring a message today, and we'd like it very specifically guided towards what this spiritual view means to her and what her perspective is on what we're doing with this this podcast, I guess, YouTube channel, I guess it's called. The very first message that she brings forward to me is momentum. There's a great momentum towards your opinions. She's showing me the momentum. She's showing me, for some reason, she's showing me jewelry, like some kind of necklace. She's showing me like a, like not pearls, but kind of like pearls around her neck. What she's presenting is the image of the external, the image that we have caught up on the necklace. We think this necklace is important, and there's no importance to it at all. So she's sort of bringing in a sense of humor, and I'm not sure if she actually had a sense of humor when she was here, but she's definitely bringing me in the sense of humor of we project what we look like, and it's a false projection. She says it's very transparent from where she's at. She can see clearly that we have brought forward a message of the necklace, and it's quietly falling away. Nobody believes it anymore. Nobody wants it to be the image that they present. There's action and groups of people coming together to wake us up. She shows me groups of people coming together to show us the nonsense that we bought into. It's weird, she says. It's weird to observe it, to know it. And then she shows me a pause, like everyone waiting for something to happen. This pause is the ability to be practical. She tells me she was incredibly practical. If you were to meet her, you would know that she was practical about everything. But in the pause is the release of the practicality. It's not necessary to be practical. To be practical means that you are taking life and putting it in a box, one box at a time. This is how this should be. This is how that should be. Each box carrying a practical way of being. She says, in the pause, you release all of it. She shows me the pause. It's like dead space, and my ears start to hurt. And she releases me from this dead space and says, "Why would you want to be practical? It is something you praise in your world." In her space, it is something they let go of. There is no use for practicality. So you ask for wisdom for your channel. Do not be practical. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Do you have any specific questions for her?
She actually answered my question. I was going to ask if she had some advice on how we should approach this. And I love that. I would like to have Barbara's perspective on having guests on our podcast or on our show.
She suggests the more, the merrier. She shows me this in a way that is quite interesting. She shows me you walking through a grocery store or some kind of store where you're, and you pick this person and that person. What is she showing me is that you could pick anyone to be a guest, because every human has a perspective. It's false to think that that person has to come from somewhere, has to be something to be your guest. Pick random strangers, and you will see that all perspectives matter. There is no guarantee what another human being will say or do. But from the spiritual view, who cares? You understand?
Makes perfect sense.
Do you have any other questions?
Is there anything else that either the three of us need to know or that we need to specifically share with everyone that's going to watch this episode, either live or on the replay?
Remind yourselves over and over that nothing matters and everything is important. It's like this. When you're speaking to another, it does not matter if their opinion is the same as yours. But it matters that you listen. Do you see?
Yes.
Religions. She tells me she was religious. But even that does not matter, because she was not part of her religion. In the end, there's expansion beyond all of it. She's telling me something that is not so personal yet is something she wants me to know. She enjoyed breakfast every day. But it looks like she did not eat it. What you enjoy matters. Indulge in it. Indulge in everything that you appreciate. Don't avoid it. What you bring forward, indulge in it. So if you bring the message forward, it's like loving breakfast and not eating it. It's like bringing the message forward and not living it. Any other questions?
No, I think that's it. And I just want to say though, thank you so much for being willing to share these messages for us and for showing up today for us, Barbara.
She's giving me a message of being in the kitchen, cooking. It's the quality of the ingredients that matter. Quality over quantity. I'm going to ask if she has anything else to bring forward. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you.
Just going to open my eyes. Yeah, I could feel that. She's there. The feeling is quite intense when I'm doing it. And with her, it was very big. It was even the space that she showed me in between. I think from my perspective, I think what she was trying to show me is like passing through to the other side. And in that space, you start to understand that you get rid of, I think she showed me a necklace or something at the beginning, that you get rid of what you think is important. And that was just one of the things. She might have had a necklace that she thought was super important and she's rid of it now.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for doing that, Sheila, and for sharing your gift with us. I feel like for me, and one of the biggest themes that came through, if I relate it specifically to what we're doing here and the spiritual view, is the idea of when she was talking about all of the boxes, right? And how we put, I was taking notes because that's the teacher in me. So one moment while I find my notes on the box. She's talking about the pause, right? And she was talking about the practicality of everything, right? And putting it into the box. And I feel like that's exactly what this show is about from the opposite perspective, right? Is that we're taking the practicality out of everything so that we can show that there are many, many different ways, many, many different viewpoints, many, many different beliefs and perspectives and points of view. And we're taking the practicality or the boxes, if you will, out of spirituality. That was the message that I took away. Kim.
There were 3 words that really stood out for me, and it was unity, inclusion, and I've already forgotten the third one. But it was about, and I feel like that's what's happening in the world right now. Is there is this need, as was said, that nothing matters and everyone is important. And I loved
Mhm.
the messaging around bringing random people on as guests. And it made me realize that, yeah, we often do this, right? In the podcast world or in TV, social media, it's always like, what is the big name guest that we can get on here? And the messaging is so right that every other person on this planet has such an important message and an important purpose. We are all equal. It's just everybody is different. And so I love the messaging about, I think, just giving everybody the opportunity to share their view, because that's what we're hearing in the world right now in so many different, again, whether, religions, races, cultures, countries, politics, it's every voice matters, every person matters. And it's about equality. I think that was the other word, equality, unity, and they've already forgotten the second one. But so I feel like this is the chance, this is the opportunity, the platform to create that.
Yeah.
And so I really want to just find people we've never met that have never had an opportunity to do anything like this and bring them on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And just a little plug there, by the way, if you would like to come on, have a conversation with us on the show, you can totally just send me a message, and I'll hook you up. So yeah, awesome. Sheila, do you have anything that you want to add?
Well, it's really apparent when it comes through. Like I get the feeling of the message, not only the words, but the feeling. And the feeling that I got is for us to present the spiritual view. It can't be about only important people or only people that are working in this field, because that eliminates the spiritual view. That actually goes against what we're doing, because what we're doing is we're talking about the spiritual view and saying that every single person is spiritual. And if we limit that to just people that work in this field, that people that have talk about it in the way that we talk about it, we really would be doing a disservice, and we wouldn't be providing the actual spiritual view. So I'm almost feeling giddy and excited because I never really thought of that before until today. Until she offered that message. And I don't know what kind of guests they brought on, if they only brought on people that were, movie stars or important people, I'm not sure. But she definitely has an understanding now that all people should be presented the opportunity to have a view. And if we don't do that in our little microcosm of our little channel, how do we expect that to start to expanding and happening in the world?
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And that's something that I never thought about either too, right? And I know we've had conversations just between the three of us about, okay, well, should we have guests? Who could we have as guests? Should we reach out to people? All of the things, right? And so I feel like now I just want to set the intention for this container that, it's like, hey, universe, what would it take to bring us the right and perfect people to be guests on our channel, right? And to share their wisdom and their knowledge and their viewpoints with us and with everyone that also watches our episodes. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Anything else anybody wants to say about that?
I just want to see people from all walks of life come on and share and
Yeah.
just have conversations about what's going on in their life, their thoughts and views, and share ours that come up from listening to their views.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be fascinating to have people come on that really live a spiritual life, but live it completely from a different perspective than us?
Yeah.
And us to open ourselves up to that, to see that it doesn't have to be done this way. It doesn't have to be done the way that we suggest. It can be done in so many different ways, because what says that it has to be done through channeling or Reiki or healing your hands or whatever? Like, what are the other possibilities of spirituality? Because everyone presents in the way that works for them.
Absolutely. And we already, because we're human, we all have our own viewpoints and perspectives and beliefs about what that looks like, right? And there's some things that we also perhaps believe that are not the way. There's certain words that if we were like, so for example, if I say the word cult, what comes up right away, right? Is there a trigger? Is there an energy there? Is there a, oh my God, there, right? Which is super fascinating, because who am I to say, even though that deeply does not resonate for me, who am I to say that that's not spiritual or that's not the way? Right?
I think the other thing that comes up for me, if I can jump in,
Yeah.
is, I think our views are definitely connected to our beliefs. And I think you'll both agree with me, as we've moved through, whether you want to call it a spiritual journey or the journey of life, our beliefs do change. And so our views
Mhm.
change. And I think this show and having these conversations with guests also gives all of us the opportunity to expand our view, to expand our consciousness, right? And to expand our beliefs. I think I've definitely already even experienced that today, just on this show, coming back to this change in perspective of that. Yeah, we need to bring anybody onto this show, not just somebody who is known for this or known for that, or whatever other great thing. Everybody has great things. And so I've already had a little bit of a shift in a perspective and belief there. So I think there's an opportunity to really create change.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the other piece I love that Barbara mentioned too is the piece about listening, right? And she said opinions don't matter, but listening does. Right? In order for us to be more curious and to be able to expand more, like you were talking about, Kim, and to be willing to, look at things from maybe a higher perspective, we could say, rather than a different perspective, the first thing that we have to be willing to do is listen. And it is listening from that space of the observer and the witness and the neutrality that then allows us to take it all in and to even receive the keys or the codes or the downloads that might be there for us. Mm-hmm.
The space that she showed me, that where she rid herself of the human perspective, or the having all those different boxes and ideas of how things should be, and then she was kind of cleared of all that in that space. I really feel like that was offered to us today, because I can feel that. I can know that. I can say, oh yeah, we're not just this or that. I can say that in my mind, but can I actually really feel it? And after that channel with her today, I can actually feel that perspective. And I tell my clients, the words that the person brings forward from the channel are important, but we cannot comprehend the power of the energy that comes forward with that message. So if you're listening to this and you receive that message, there's a good chance that it'll become a knowing for you, a deep knowing. And for us to have that, how powerful, how intentional, how much could the world change with us having an idea that everyone's point of view matters. And it's not what you're wearing, and it's not who you are, it's not your title, it's none of that. It is who you represent as a spiritual being. Yeah. And as a spiritual being, we are all love. And we are all connected as we believe it to be. That's our belief. So, whether that's true or not, that's just simply our belief. But having that as an understanding and a wisdom on this planet, I feel so grateful that someone so wise was able to come in and offer that message to us today.
I second that.
If I can come back to perspectives again, and it's interesting because when you channeled the part about the pause, and now listening to that makes so much sense to me, and I resonate with that. But initially when I heard that, what I thought of is two things. One being the need for us to pause, to have that deeper self-awareness, but also the pause being where we have that shift from whether it's fear to love or from suffering to freedom, where we really, I don't want to say awakening, because I think we have constant awakenings, but it was about a shift for me. That's what I resonated with first. I never thought about the gap of the whole crossing over, but that totally makes sense too. And I think it just shows that there can be so many different perspectives, and there isn't necessarily one right or one wrong.
Yeah, I love that, Kim. I have spent and that's been a lot of the personal work that I have done over the last couple of years, is really getting curious and asking questions. And when I've, gotten answers to those, it's asking even more questions so that I can see that, not only can I see the contrast and I can see the different viewpoints and I can see the different perspectives, but I can also see what else is possible. That's the vantage point that I love to come from, is what else is possible. And when she was talking about the pause, the notes that I took, because like I said, the teacher in me takes notes. But what I wrote down was, first she said pause, and then she said, we're all waiting for something to happen. We're all waiting for the practical. And then she said, it's the pause is about releasing practicality, because if we're in practicality, we're putting life in a box. So the message that I kind of brought forward from that too is that we're all waiting for something to happen rather than creating what needs to happen or making it happen, right? It's that inspired action piece for me, if that makes sense.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that the wise Barbara Walters, I'm assuming she was wise on this planet. I would just think that she was probably she was into her 90s, I think, when she passed, and you don't get there without some wisdom. But who she is now is beyond what we can even comprehend, is what I felt, is her understanding of the world is so big. And so she has the vantage point of what we want to present.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Mm.
I would actually love to hear our viewers' perspectives and takeaways as well too. So we do, or the plan is to stream this on YouTube live. As Tracy mentioned, we had some technical difficulties today, but we're live streaming to the Facebook group, and we will always post the replays in the Facebook group too. So we encourage you, share your comments so we can grow together, open together, hear your perspectives, because you matter too, and your voice matters, and your thoughts and opinions and beliefs matter too. So I just want to encourage our viewers to participate and join in these conversations with us.
Absolutely. Whether that's because you're on live or you're watching the replay, you just hashtag replay and there's the post conversation. And, I also would love to hear if you have something that you would like to hear different perspectives on, not because one is right or one is wrong, but maybe you've been working through it yourself, or you've been chewing on it or thinking about it, or you're just curious, then you can also let us know that too. And then we can bring that forward into an episode, and we can do a little riff and some hot seats and whatever else happens to happen in that episode, right? Yeah, awesome. Okay, well, we will be live streaming then again next week, Mondays, 9:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, live on YouTube, fingers crossed. But now you already know, if you can't find us on YouTube, the go-to will be our Facebook page, where we will stream live here, and all the replay links will be here as well. But the easiest thing to do is just subscribe on our YouTube channel. And if you want to join us and you want to come on to the panel and you want to have a conversation with us, we would also love that. So you can shoot me a message on Facebook for that as well, or send a comment in the YouTube page too. Is there anything else that I'm forgetting, women?
The only one thing that I would say is, if you're like me and you want to sometimes comment on things, and then you're like, oh no, my opinion doesn't matter, I'm going to just stay quiet. Perhaps this is an opportunity for us to shift that. So normally your normal is, you go to write something, you're like, oh, forget it, nobody wants to hear from me, and I've done it, so I know what that feels like. After today, perhaps maybe we just allow that opinion to come forward and not worry about the consequences, or worry that we're right or wrong, or that we'd say something silly. So feel free to comment, because we honor your comments, and I think Barbara has given us good insight that really does matter.
Yeah, beautiful.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah. So anywhere and everywhere that you've ever believed that your opinion doesn't matter, or that you have nothing to say, let's destroy and uncreate all of that on every level, every layer, and every lifetime. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, well, thank you so much for being here with us today, whether that is live or whether that is on the replay. Let us know. And we are so excited to see you all next week, hopefully streaming on YouTube, and we'll see where it takes us. All right. So have a
great
beautiful
week.
day. Bye.
Bye, everyone.